Rupert is travelling to Greenwich on the trail of his great-grandfather, the sailor Frederick Everett.
All right, cheers, thanks a lot. See you later, take care. You too.
The National Maritime Museum houses the records of the British Merchant Navy. Rupert is meeting naval historian Chris Ware.
Good afternoon.
Hi, I'm Chris Ware.
You're called Consuela?
Chris Ware.
Oh, sorry.
Chris has been doing some research and has found a series of documents detailing the career of Rupert's great-grandfather.
I want to find out, please, about my great-grandfather. He's called Frederick Everett, Chief Mate, Merchant Service.
I think we can do that. The first thing I'd like to show you, this is...
List of testimonials and statements of service at sea. Oh, yeah. Right. Frederick William Cunningham Everett, 1886.
Yes, so that'll give you all the voyages he said that he'd taken.
China. He went to New York. My goodness. Adelaide. Adelaide, that's Adelaide too.
Yeah, so he's gone Adelaide,
Tasmania.
And then he's gone to the River Plate.
November 85, he left for the river for Buenos Aires.
He sailed a month after.
Oh, look, he had the baby between Tasmania and... he fathered the baby between Tasmania and Buenos Aires. Very chic. Yeah. So he was in London at that time. Yeah. That's interesting.
It was one of the great problems of the seafarers. Once you've sailed, your family might think you're going to be back in 6 months, but you might just disappear off the face of the earth for a year, 2 years.
Or forever.
Yeah.
He's got a son. That's what's really sad about it. Frederick, I think, is a very compelling character already. 5'10", blue eyes. He had a tattoo of a crucifix on a chain around his wrist. I mean, he was the typical adventurer in a very exciting time. Whether he ever saw Cyril again, we don't know. That's a mystery. But according to Cyril, his father was dead. It would be fascinating to know if Frederick somehow kept tabs on the life of Cyril. Who knows? I'm going to try and find Fred's will to see if it gives us any clues.
Rupert's next stop is the probate office in London.
Hi. I have ordered the will and, if possible, probate of a Mr. Frederick Everett. Thank you very much indeed. Anyway, here is the will. 29th of November, 1935. He's got a month and a half to live.
Frederick Everett wrote his will while his son Cyril was 3,000 miles away in Nigeria.
This is the last will and testament of me, Frederick William Cunningham Everett, of 29A, Latewood Road, Balham. I give and bequeath all the rest and residue of my real and personal estate unto my friend, here's R.M. Bawtry, Mrs. Rose Marie Bawtry, of 29A, Latewood Road, Balham. R.M. Bawtry, as I thought, is his lover, with him at death. So she's got all his worldly goods. In the event of the said Rose Marie Bawtry predeceasing me, then I bequeath all the rest and residue of my real and personal estate unto my son, Cyril Frederick Cunningham Everett, absolutely. So, he knew about his son. Well, Cyril, on his marriage certificate, he'd written down his father Frederick as being dead. Whether that was a lie, because Cyril was trying to cover the tracks of vagrancy, or whether he thought it was true because he hadn't heard from him. Either way, I reckon this old man is writing his will. At some point, probably from the age of 40 or 50, his son has come back into his mind, having completely abandoned him when he was younger. Actually, it's even possibly more insulting than having forgotten about him altogether, because recognizing him and then still putting him number 2 is not very comforting.
Rupert also has a copy of the grant of probate, the legal document showing how much money Frederick Everett left.
Oh. The net value of this personal estate amounts to £1,156, 17 shillings and 8 pence. Mrs. Bawtry got £1,100. Who is Mrs. Rosemary Bawtry? Reaching the age of 50, midlife crisis, and looking at a story like Fred, I'm sure it only occurred to him, age 50, that he might not be able to, you know, skim up the Yangtze forever, and that he was going to end up in Balham.
Frederick Everett left all his money to Rosemary Bawtry. Rupert has tracked down her grandson, also named Frederick, and is meeting him outside the house where Frederick and Rosemary lived together.
I'm Rupert.
How do you do, Rupert? How do you do?
What's your name? Are you Bawtry? Are you a Bawtry?
Yeah, Frederick Bawtry.
My God, and Rosemary Bawtry is your grandmother?
That's right, yes.
You owe me £1,000.
Oh, do I?
Because that's what actually my great-grandfather left to her,
that's
instead
right,
of leaving to us. Is a poor, impoverished family.
Oh, well, your great-grandfather and my grandmother lived here 74 years ago.
But in 1936, the thing that I've discovered,
Yes.
which has been very strange for me, is this great-grandfather of mine ended his life with Rosemary. Do you have any idea how long they were together?
No.
No.
No
Do you
idea.
know anything about him? Do you have any...
No, well, all I know, I remember my father saying that he was a seaman. He was out in the Far East in China.
What kind of woman was she?
Well, she was a rather pleasant woman, very fond of a glass of whiskey.
Oh, right. Well, I'm sure Frederick liked his booze very much as well.
I probably did, yes. Well, he was a sailor, wasn't he? So
Exactly.
I got photographs of
Oh,
her.
can I see one?
Yes, certainly. Now, these are the photographs of her because she was a young actress in the 1900s.
Really?
Well, I mean, small part actress. I mean,
Right.
she was... Yeah,
Oh, she's pretty.
Yes, well, I always remember her talking about it in that period, you know. She said, you always had to be careful of the stage door Johnnies.
Really?
Yes, yes. I suppose they were wealthy young men in those days and picking up poor little actresses, but nowadays...
Who
well,
weren't very wealthy, probably, and probably didn't have many jobs.
No.
Do you think she succumbed to a few stage door Johnnies, or was she not that? Was she made of sterner stuff?
Probably. But I would think, you know, that nowadays the poor little actresses have got more money than stage door Johnnies.
Well, speak entirely for yourself. I've got not a penny.
Now, this is her in her later years, that's when she must have known your great-grandfather.
No, she looks like she's had a couple there.
Yes, exactly.
How amazing. Do you think this was just two old ships moored in the same flat, you know, friends, or do you think they were actually together, lovers?
Well, it's hard to say, but I should imagine they were shacked up together, you know.
Imagine the upright piano tinkling and him and Rosemary after a couple of whiskies
Yeah,
having a bit of a sing-song.
Yes, may well be.
as through the frosty night. I can imagine it. So maybe, you know, he found comfort.
Well, let's hope so.
My great-grandfather, a sailor, shacked up with an old actress who liked to have a couple, liked to tipple. The fact that he gave the money to Rosemary must have meant he really adored her, because otherwise he'd say, listen, old girl, I've got to do the right thing by Cyril. But at the same time, love is love, you know, and a man needs to be looked after, and Rosemary looked after Fred.